They're under the levy, way under, like almost $1 million under the levy this year. You hurt yourself for next year.
Yes, but the whole, and you're right, you're absolutely 100% right. But the thing is, and that's why I can't, that's why the cap and all of this is absolute bullshit. You talk about the way it's doing this, I could agree with you, the cap is absolutely bullshit, because if I do the right thing, then the levy for this year is going to be less than the levy was when I first passed it.
But that's an early
I agree, the cap was a stupid political thing at all.
Right, but you know what the problem is, Susan, is you know what, I'm glad, because, you know, if we finally can, you know, if we can at least intellectually agree in this room, it's correct, but when you go out there politically, that's not what's being said. And that's what I have a problem with. So what gets politically said out there influences what goes on in this room. And because all of a sudden it's going to be, well, look what Grace did. Grace increased the tax 3%. It's not going to be Grace stayed under the levy. Grace, you know, the levy is X amount of dollars less than it was 2 years ago. It's going to be, and that's the problem with the political discourse, because there's no proof in any of it.
You want to know something? In other communities, they have overridden and they had the conversation about why the cap is ridiculous.
Right.
We talked about here in 2011 when the cap first came out, and there was this total confusion about the cap and the tax rate, and we tried, you know, to explain and explain. And Michael, it's not, no one is going to point fingers at you or Terrence or Vishnu. It's
they absolutely
don't, because they don't understand
no, because that. You know what? And look,
sad but true.
The truth is, and you know, that's what we all suffer from, because we, you know, this whole gig is a very difficult one. If you want to have some real honesty about where you're going, what you're doing, because you know, it's like that's why we resented his remark before, because he can't sit there and say, I am concerned about Yorktown, as if all the rest of those board members are not. That's absolutely, you can't by inference start saying, well, somebody did something wrong, and you know, kind of implying crookedness or illicit behavior, untoward behavior, or neglect by any other board members. You cannot do that, because this is what happens. That becomes the discourse, and everything starts to break down.
I think if we can start kind of with a fresh slate, I think you can figured out by now that I won and I'll be on the board. And
No, did you?
yes.
Congratulations.
Okay. We're not official yet, but the absentee ballots have been counted. That's why I'm talking more now, and I wasn't talking before, because I didn't feel it was appropriate for me to just give them.
Congratulations.
Some of it has to be, the hardest thing is, Michael, you've been in town government for so long, and you've dealt with this, and you've dealt with different boards, is trying to make people understand and accept what they don't want to accept, okay? And it's difficult. We sat here for 2 days, and I heard the police desperately need to get back on schedule for cars, the highway department, the drainage issue, list after list after list of what needs to be done. It's humongous. Okay? Millions and millions of dollars of long delayed things, because as I sat through budget hearings for so long, everyone was concerned we have to control the tax rate. People don't want to see more than 2%, 3% inflation, whatever it is. So all of these very necessary expenses have been delayed to the point where things are going to hurt. Okay, and we know that. At some point, I think it behooves the board, if the board is united and talks with one voice about, let's be honest, let's be truthful, let's talk about the realities of having safe roads, neighborhoods that don't flood. We need this. And if you want this as a community, I think you pay for it, whether it's $80 or $40 more or whatever. There's only so much we can wring out of efficiencies. We have to keep trying and trying and trying, and I know you're trying to find every possible efficiency. So we do that, and I think, you know, revenue, non-tax revenue is kind of limited. I think the auditor said it, you said it, the newspapers are saying the economy is still, you know, you don't know, right? Look how long we're waiting for Costco. way, right? We have no idea when they're, the JV Mall, John said it the other day. He's ready to sign off, and we're all anxious to see that shuttle. We're waiting for Simon. So we can't even count on those revenues, but I think if we are united as a board,
We can move forward, yeah.
and take a leadership role and try to strip politics from this and say to the community in one voice, okay, that as a community, if this is what we want to do, we have to fix our aging infrastructure. You know, we know in our homes we can't have everything we want, and if you want it, you have to pay for it. I mean, if then we put on another police officer because drugs were important to the community. Okay, it's important. The resource officers are important. Well, you can't have it and not want to pay for it. And we have to be able to say that as leaders.
Everything you're saying right here,
I know.
everything you're saying right here, you are spot on. The problem is that once we go out that door, it's a different animal.
Different story.
And then if we all stand together as a team, because we can do more as a team instead of I and me, then we can actually do a lot much better stuff for this town.
That's what I'm
The
trying to
problem
say.
is, well, of course you are. I heard every word you just said, and you were spot on. If we want to just work together on this and stop fighting each other on stupid stuff, then we can do a hell of a lot of stuff with this. Your point's being said is you were spot on. That's all I can tell you. This is stuff that we can agree to disagree with, with one another here. But and I'm not trying to bring up a hash. I don't like to insinuate or have anybody insinuate that I've done something wrong. That's wrong. And if I did, and if you had a problem with me, I would have suspected you taking the phone and saying, listen, what's going on with that? Not out here with everybody doing this, okay? That's the difference of what's going on. And then that's what gets projected out there. So if we want to stick together and do this the right way, everything you just said was absolutely 100%. So that's everything.
So we have to say as a board, if as a board, we are to adopt a budget on December 10th that has what's going to be large tax increases, no expansive budget, okay? But we as a board, Republicans, Democrats, are united in saying it. So we're not saying to the Democrat isn't saying, oh, Republican, you did, or Republican isn't saying, you Democrat.
That's all the way it's articulated.
Yes.
And then backing it up as a team. That's all.
That's all I'm saying, for the sake of the community, and I know everybody here has that goal in mind, is what's best for the community.